It's News 360. Hello, good evening, and welcome to our major news bulletin for the day. My name is Kwesi Asare.
And I am Portia. Gabor coming up tonight.
News 360 headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal.
Civil and Local Government Staff Association clocked to proceed with its strike despite claims by government that their action is needless.
We'll go to the Eastern region where the Akwatia High Court issues bench warrant for arrest of New Patriotic Party's Ernest Yaukumi.
Also ahead in the bulletin tonight, more than 16,000 teachers apprehensive following a decision by government through the Ghana Education Service to revoke their appointments.
Coming up in business news, the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies call for scrapping of cylinder recirculation model, citing its failure.
And elsewhere on the foreign front, U.S. President Donald Trump launches fresh attack on Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, calling him a dictator. We've got details of all these stories, plus many more coming up in the next 60 minutes. Remember, we're streaming live on Facebook. We're also live on your DSTV channel 279. You can join us with your views, comments, and suggestions on any of our top stories this hour. Feel free to visit any of our social media pages on Facebook and on X.
We begin from the Labour front, where the Civil and Local Government Staff Association, CLOGSAG, says it will proceed with its strike despite claims by government that their action is needless. According to the group, it is not seeking to challenge the powers of the president in appointment, but demanding government to respect the Supreme Court ruling not to politicize appointment at the Births and Deaths Registry. Executive Secretary Isaac Bampo spoke to our Labour correspondent Daniel Opoku.
The Minister in charge of Government Communications, Felix Kwesi, said the president has the power to appoint and disappoint. He again cited Article 195, which does not prevent the president from appointing who he so desires. According to the minister, the appointment of Samuel Adumbotwe does not infringe on any constitutional provision. He dared CLOGSAG to provide evidence whether government has flouted any civil service regulation appointment to head the Birth and Death Registry.
Mr. Adumbotwe is a highly experienced official who in the past has served as district chief executive under the Mills administration, and he has many years of public service experience, and he has requisite academic qualifications to hold that particular position. So it is the view of government that whilst we respect our partners in organized labor and seek to dialogue on all relevant matters, in this particular instance, the president has acted in accordance with Ghanaian law, and for that reason, there cannot be a reason why Mr. Adumbotwe should be removed.
However, the Executive Secretary of CLOGSAG, Isaac Bampo, quickly entreated the minister to avert his mind to the Supreme Court ruling in 2017. In the ruling, Isaac Bampo alluded that the Supreme Court imposed sanction on civil servants who may engage in overt party politics.
This is a Supreme Court thing. It's a step away from these services. If you wish to broadcast, we all know that Mr. Botwe is an NDC activist. He chose to broadcast it. He was a former DC of the Mills administration. He chose to broadcast it. They said, if you wish to broadcast or otherwise manifest your political allegiance or run political office, step away from the services. This is Supreme Court talking. It's not CLOGSAG speaking or Isaac Bampo speaking. This is the Supreme Court. Now, our members have been dismissed for flouting this law. We are not saying the president hasn't got the right to appoint. The Supreme Court is saying anybody with political color should step away from the services. We are not saying it. This is a Supreme Court ruling. Unless you are not saying Supreme Court ruling are not law.
He said the association will proceed on its strike.
We're going to get to them with this, what the Supreme Court is saying. And if they say we should throw it out, but this is what the Supreme Court is saying. So it's for the public to judge whether what we should abide by what the Supreme Court is saying, or we should throw it out. The strike was called by the National Executive Council, so they are the ones that can call it off.
Let's now engage the thoughts of Labour consultant Austin Game for more on this development. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Game. From your understanding of this particular issue, is there sufficient basis for CLOGSAG to proceed with the strike tomorrow? Kindly unmute. Mr. Game, can you kindly unmute? We can hardly hear you.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, please, you can proceed now.
Yeah, okay, thank you. CLOGSAG is a legitimate registered trade union organization in Ghana, and they have the right to protect the economic and social interest of their members. And so if there is one of their own somewhere in the deaf and BEF registry, they want to seek its interest, they have the legitimate right to do so. But they have to do it through a process. Yes, the Supreme Court can make a determination, can say all what they have said, but the Supreme Court work within laws. They don't work outside the laws of Ghana. There is, we all know, Article 195, on which many of them in the public and civil service have been employed by presidents from Kwame Nkrumah's time. Therefore, it is inappropriate at this point in time for them not to allow the president of Ghana now to appoint people to offices. If they have a concern, like the case of Mr. Bochi, they have the right to raise that through a channel, either through the head of civil service, through the Public Services Commission, or have it registered with the Minister of Employment and Labor Relations, so that they can go into the matter and have it resolved. They can also go to the National Labor Commission, they can also go to the law courts. But to declare a strike before going into the merit of the case, frowned on the laws of Ghana. Section 1273 prohibits people from being on strike whilst raising their legitimate concerns. It does not allow it.
All right, Mr. Game, we've heard from government also. They are saying that CLOGSAG is not questioning the competence of Mr. Adom Bochi, but rather the fact that he is politically exposed. Does government have a case here too?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I say you may have a legitimate point you want to raise. Raise it through the appropriate channel. There are several channels through which CLOGSAG can address this. They have very competent, very diligent people who lead that organization. They can go to the place where they can have this matter resolved. But to take on to demanding on their members to go on strike, I would like to call upon them, all of them, including CLOGSAG themselves, they should all go back properly to work tomorrow. This government is just barely 30-something days old, so that they can register their concern at the appropriate forum for the matter to be gone into. But to go on strike the way they are doing it, I don't think is appropriate. Our laws frown on it.
Just before you go, beyond this development is the issue of partisan appointment in the civil and local government service. How do we ensure that this issue is fully addressed?
Almost everybody in this country belongs one way or the other to something. Everybody. The president, who they are referring the matter to, is a partisan being leading in this country. What about that? What about those who worked on our national ID card for all these 8 years past? They are heavily politically exposed, but they have got this the primary, secondary, and tertiary document for us all to be working with. And so we should not create tension in this country where there is supposed to be none. I have a lot of respect for them, and I think that they have the right to raise this, as I said earlier, but the angle they are coming from is inappropriate.
Thank you so much for your time, and Mr. Austin Gama is a labor consultant.
A reminder, so watching News 360, our major news bulletin for the day. The Koforidua High Court has issued a bench warrant for the arrest of New Patriotic Party's Ernest Yaw Kumi. This came after the court convicted him for contempt and for continuing to hold himself out as the Member of Parliament for the Akwatia constituency.
The Koforidua High Court has issued a bench warrant for Ernest Yaw Kumi, MPP's declared Member of Parliament for the Akwatia constituency. The court says the evidence before him suggests that the MP has contravened its court orders. We'll take you back to after December 7th elections. Now, the counsel for the petitioners filed for an interim injunction to ensure that the MP does not hold himself as MP for the constituency until the final determination of the court. But the MP was seen in the chambers of Parliament on the 9th of the swearing in of this 9th Parliament. Indeed, the court says evidence in video form available to them suggests that the clerk, even though warned the MP of the consequences, he went ahead to be sworn in. That action is a flout of the court orders. And again, the court says that consequently, motions have been filed to serve him for him to be present in court or his counsel being in appearance. But that was also not upheld. And the Justice of the High Court, Senor Amedahe, says these evidences before him and precedents of ruling inform him to take these actions to ensure Ernest Yaw Kumi is brought to court for sentence of his conviction. The High Court judge did not accept the letter from the minority caucus before him, suggesting that Ernest Kumi was busy with parliamentary duties, reason for his absence in court. Justice Senor Amedahe says accepting that letter will be a compromise of the court's earlier decision. Lawyer Gary Nimaku, who wanted to make a case for Ernest Kumi, was not allowed. He would not comment on the matter after the ruling.
All right, so let me just give you a sense of exactly what has happened or transpired in this case since Election Day on the 7th of December 2024, for those of you who are not quite abreast with the happenings. So the Electoral Commission, after voting, declared the NPP's Ernest Kumi winner of the elections. He garnered a little over 19,000 votes. As against his closest contender, Harry Boakye Yadom, who also garnered a little over 17,000 votes. It appeared to be a closely fought election with a difference of nearly 2,000 votes. Now, after that declaration, we know that the National Democratic Congress, sort of rejected the results of the election, citing irregularities. Following from that, we know that the whole issue was moved away from the eastern region to the Greater Accra region, the Collation Center for a resolution of the matter. Now, at the Greater Accra region Collation Center, we also know that the NDC made a number of allegations against the New Patriotic Party, one of them being that, the NPP lacked the original pink sheets and that they were relying on photocopies to make their case. Following from that, we know that the NDC candidate, Henry Boakye Yadom, filed a petition at the High Court seeking an injunction against Ernest Kumi's swearing in. Following from that, the Koforidua High Court granted a 10-day injunction, essentially to bar the Electoral Commission and the Clerk of Parliament from recognizing Ernest Kumi as MP-elect. What happened after? Something very significant happened after that. Of course, we know on the night of the swearing-in in Parliament, something significant happened. The Clerk of Parliament had to make a very significant statement. And let me just bring to you what exactly happened on that night.
In the case of Akwatia, the Clerk to Parliament was served a process on the 3rd of January 2025 with an order of interim injunction from a high court in Koforidua. This order was served through the legal office of the parliamentary service. The order directed the respondents, including the Clerk to Parliament, indicating that they are restrained from proceeding to call, admit, register, swear in, recognize, gazette the said Ernest Yao Kumi as the elected member for the Akwatia constituency. At the time of the receipt of the order, the parliamentary service had already completed the process of registration of Ernest Yao Kumi as member-elect. Honorable members, so I have brought this matter to the attention of the House. That is my pleasant duty to do. The member may decide, may elect to participate, but in doing so, I'm drawing attention to Article 105 of the Constitution, and I will read. A person who sits or votes in Parliament knowing or having reasonable grounds for knowing that he is not entitled to do so commits an offence and shall be liable on conviction to such penalty as shall be prescribed by or under an enactment of Parliament. Having done this, I have discharged my noble duty. I will end there.
Mr. Chairman, the member so desires to proceed to be sworn in and to also participate in the election of the Speaker and bear the consequences himself.
So you heard there, the Clerk of Parliament performed his duty by putting the matter before Parliament. And you saw the minority leader, Penny Markin, essentially saying that they were going to go ahead and take responsibility for their actions. And so like Pontius Pilate, the Clerk of Parliament essentially washed his hands of the case and proceeded. So following from that, we know that Ernest Kumi had been sworn in, choosing to face the legal consequences of his actions. And only today, the Koforidua High Court has issued a bench warrant for the arrest of Ernest Kumi, essentially citing him for contempt of court. So the Member of Parliament, Ernest Kumi, today in Parliament had to leave the chamber following consultations with the leadership of the minority side, which included the Deputy Minority Leader, Patricia PJ, after a bench warrant was issued for his arrest. Well, the lawmaker has been convicted for contempt of court by the Koforidua High Court. My colleague George Quenin has more.
With a bench warrant in effect, law enforcement authorities are expected to enforce the arrest of the Akwatia lawmaker and ensure compliance with the court's ruling. Earlier in Parliament, Ernest Yao Kumi was spotted in the chamber prior to proceedings. He was later seen engaging leadership of the minority, which included the Deputy Minority Leader, Patricia PJ, and Second Deputy Minority Whip, Ahmed Shaib. Following the engagement, the Akwatia MP exited Parliament and refused to grant any interview to the media.
Following from that, the minority side in Parliament says it is dissatisfied with the Koforidua High Court ruling, which issued a warrant for the arrest of the Akwatia MP Ernest Kumi. According to the minority leader, Alexander Apenyo Markins, the treatment by the court was unfair. He, however, indicated that the caucus will ensure that Ernest Kumi abides by the law while they await a full briefing by the lawyers.
We are here to procure the court ruling and the orders of the court. the lawyers are going to brief the caucus, and we will come out with our position on the matter. Meanwhile, I'm sure all necessary steps will be taken to ensure that our colleague is law-abiding and ensure that the right thing is done. But we have to say that we are dissatisfied with the approach, and we think that he has been treated unfairly. We would come out fully with our position when we receive full briefing.
And in the Ashanti region, lawyers for petitioners contesting the parliamentary results in 3 constituencies in the region are not happy with the transfer of the case from High Court 8 to High Court 2 without prior notice. They have questioned the motive, claiming it is a deliberate attempt by respondents to unduly delay the case. Ibrahim Abubakar reports.
The petitioners in the last court sitting on January 28 secured a substituted service to bring the legal proceedings to the attention of the defendants after attempts to personally serve them failed. Lawyers for the respondents were in court on Wednesday, February 19. The petitioners have filed an injunction application seeking to restrain the members of parliament for Boise East, Afuano Southwest, and Afuano North constituencies from holding themselves as lawmakers until the final determination of the matter. At Kumasi High Court 6, the Afuano North case was adjourned to March 5.
We filed an application, yes, to also set aside the injunction, the service of the injunction and their petition. So it has been adjourned because we've not served them with the application we filed.
The Boise East and Afuano Southwest case expected to be heard in High Court 8 was rather moved to High Court 2. Counsel for the petitioners was, however, not happy with the development.
The Court 2, Court 8, I have huge respect for them, and I have no doubt of their competence and capacity. But my question here is that how would the Chief Justice transfer the cases from Court 8 to Court 2 without notice to the applicants, the petitioners in these cases? What I'm seeing now is a deliberate effort by the first respondent in these 2 cases or 3 cases to delay the matter. But they should trust me. This matter will receive all the necessary and needed attention. An expeditious trial will be conducted.
The National Democratic Congress is bent on overturning the parliamentary results for the 3 constituencies through legal means. The petitioners and respondents in the Boise East and Afuano Southwest case will return to court on March 4. Ibrahim Abubakar, TV3 News, Kumasi.
Elsewhere, the Accra High Court has slapped a 3,000 cost on Johnson Esiedu Nketia, the national chairman of the National Democratic Congress, for omitting a crucial witness in a defamation case. Former Attorney Auditor General Professor Eredria Ajiman sued General Mosquito for defamation in 2018, seeking some 20 million cedis in damages. The court, presided over by Justice Audrey Kokiavite, had granted General Mosquito's request to amend his pre-trial checklist to include the omitted necessary witness. However, the court imposed the 3,000 cedi cost due to the oversight.
In more news tonight, government has strongly rejected claims that it is involved in a coordinated attack on some journalists, as stated by the Ghana Journalists Association. At a press conference held on Tuesday, President of the GJA listed 7 journalists who have been attacked since the president took office. However, government is fiercely rejecting these claims, describing them as purely criminal cases that should be dealt with by the police.
According to government spokesperson on communication, Felix Kwachiofosu, the narrative that government was behind the attacks is unwarranted.
That is completely incorrect. It is not true, and nothing of the sort has happened. When I inquired from the Ghana General Association president, he mentioned instances where at a recent Council of State elections, there was some scuffle and some journalists were roughed up. He also spoke about Erastus Asare, who is reported to have been set upon by some illegal miners when he went there to cover their activities. But these are incidents involving persons who are acting unlawfully.
He pointed out that the press conference by the Ghana Journalists Association had presented the situation as though government targeted journalists.
I'm not sure that you can lay the blame at the doorstep of President Mama or the government. It is an act of criminality which should be dealt with in the same manner that if someone attacked me or assaulted me, it will be dealt with.
He, however, posits that government will not deter journalists from conducting their business.
If you are a journalist in Ghana, you have President Mohammed's fullest assurance that merely because you report on his government, even in adverse ways, you are not going to face any reprisal. But please endeavor to use the appropriate channels to seek redress when other members of society harm you in any way.
A reminder to watch News 360, our major news bulletin for the day. If you feel very strongly about any of our top headline stories this hour, feel free. We encourage you to visit any of our social media pages and post a comment. Now, more than 16,000 teachers are apprehensive following the decision by government through the Ghana Education Service to revoke their appointments. But the leadership of the pre-tertiary teacher unions has called for calm and assured the teachers to resolve the problem within a week. Leadership of the teacher union spoke exclusively with our labor correspondent, Daniel Opoku.
Following the decision by government to revoke the appointment of some employees in the public service, the situation has caused some consternation among teachers. Available figures indicate that over 16,000 to 20,000 teachers since 2022 have been recruited. But government through the Ghana Education Service poised to revoke their appointment. The leadership of the teacher unions, NAT, and the Coalition Concerned Teachers have expressed worry over the matter. The General Secretary of NAT, Thomas Tanko Musa, has called for calm.
We can only ask our members that they should remain calm as we engage them. And whatever happens, we'll take it out from there. And we can assure them that their best interests will be protected. This is an emergency thing because once the letters have gone, already there is, people are anxious. People are now, the BP of people are going up and all that. So this is not something now we can delay on. And I want to believe that all things being equal, by next week or so, we should be able to, because currently majority of them are in the voter range. So all things by the close of next week, I think we should be able to bring this matter to a close.
The president of the Coalition Concerned Teachers, Kenali Awudu, appealed to the Ghana Education Service to hasten slowly.
There's a lot of vacancies. Between August to about November, the GES recruited about 20,000 people. These 20,000 people were to go and replace people that have gone on retirement, attrition, people that have left the service, people that have died, and the new schools that were built, especially the STEM schools. In fact, the vacancies declared were even more than 20,000, and these people were recruited. Nobody can assume that between August to October, November, there are about 20,000 people that the Ghana Education Service recruited. All of them wear a certain party color, and therefore they should be sacked.
Both leaders assured of continuous engagement with the GES to resolve the problem within a week.
That in the Ghana Education Service, there have been instances where people were recruited in 2024. Their letters, they got them later in the year. There were some even in 2023, they got their letters in 2024. These are normal activities in the Ghana Education Service. If it is the case that we don't want to go on that particular path again, then together we have to correct it. So delayed processing of document is part of the Ghana Education Service, which we've been talking about over the years.
The teacher unions are coming out with our stance on this matter, and you hear from us very soon.
In the case of the nurses, we are likely to see some disturbance on the industrial front. Is this something the teachers also will consider?
The nurses, their case is similar to ours. It doesn't mean that the actions that they will take will be the same action that the teacher unions will take. But as I said, we will announce our action very soon.
And away from education, Ghana has recorded one confirmed case of the human metapneumovirus HPMV from an elderly person out of some 90 samples selected for testing. Health Minister Kwabena Akwatia made this known during his appearance before Parliament on Tuesday. But what is HPMV? There's more in this report.
The human metapneumovirus, HMPV, is a respiratory virus that can cause a range of respiratory illnesses, from mild cold-like symptoms to severe pneumonia. While it can affect people of all ages, it is most commonly seen in young children under 5, older adults, and those with weakened immune systems. Already, some countries, including China, are battling the disease, with cases surging on a daily basis. The Health Minister Kwabena Akwatia has assured that the risk of HMPV in Ghana remains low, considering the robust surveillance system in place.
In response to recent increase in respiratory cases in China and some temperate countries in December 2024, as part of our routine surveillance, we commenced testing for human metapneumovirus HMPV this year in January 2025. So far, a total of 90 samples have been selected for testing, and only one positive case has been detected for HMPV. This was detected from an elderly person. Mr. Speaker, I want to assure the House that the risk of HMPV in Ghana remains low. As you can see, we have a robust surveillance system in place to monitor for respiratory viruses, including HMPV. In fact, these systems have been strengthened in recent years, particularly following the COVID-19 pandemic. We therefore assure the country that any case of HMPV will be quickly identified and managed to prevent the spread.
The mode of transmission for the HMP virus is through respiratory droplets when an infected person coughs or sneezes. Direct contact, such as shaking hands with an infected person, and transmitted when a person touches their mouth, nose, or eyes after touching an infected surface. Its symptoms include cough, nasal congestion, sore throat, fever, shortness of breath, wheezing, and fatigue. Some precautionary measures recommended includes proper hand hygiene.
This is News 360. There's more coming up.
You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior. You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
GCB mobile app and do more with ease. Send and receive funds seamlessly. Your recoded GCB mobile app is fast. Use it to pay all bills and enjoy the convenience.
We're gonna be with you to make life a lot easier.
No worries. Top up on all types of ECG prepaid meters easily. Your GCB mobile app makes that possible with this smart card reader.
Where you been, you don't need no account. Silence at the app, only see where they matter. GCB mobile app, GCB mobile app, making life so easy.
Pay your subscriptions and fees to over 150 merchants. It is safe and timely.
Get your bills paid on time. No worries, silence at the app, only
transactions on GCB mobile app are smooth. Get onto Google Play Store and Apple Store to download GCB mobile app. Upgrade your style. GCB Bank, your bank for life.
Whenever you fly to space or take your first step as baby, Soft Care always stays with you.
New Soft Care Space Series is rooted from space technology. Keeps you dry and comfortable for 12 hours long. Offers you the most effective protection during your space journey.
Soft Care. Protect your leap.
Every child is so unique. You like no other. Outstanding in every way. It's me like no other. So anytime you walk and play, you like no other. You are special like Indomie. It's me like no other.
Did you know that every child on the planet has their own unique fingerprint like no other?
You like no other. I can play the drums. I'm talented. It's me like no other. I can sing. I can dance. You like no other.
As well as their own unique talents and abilities.
I can cook. I can paint. You like no other. Indomie. It's you like no other.
So every day, in whatever you do, remember you are special in your own way, like no other.
Thank you, Mom, for letting me know I'm special and for making me my special Indomie. Thank you, Mommy. I love my Indomie.
This advert is FDA approved.
The business segment is brought to you by MTN.
West Hills Ridge Property, Eden Heights.
Good evening and welcome to the very latest in the world of business. The Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies is urging the new National Petroleum Authority leadership to scrap the cylinder recirculation model. According to COMAC Chairman Gabor, the program has failed to achieve its intended goals since its introduction in September 2023.
The Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies argues that the policy has not improved access to LPG, enhanced safety, nor increased adoption, despite its ambitious targets, including providing 50% of Ghanaians with access to safe and environmentally friendly LPG by 2030. The model was introduced to address concerns over frequent fires and explosions resulting from LPG distribution. However, the Chamber contends that it has been a complete failure, necessitating a total overhaul.
As at now, we are yet to see any figures in relation to how many volumes the CIM has sold and all that. We don't have any information, but you and I can attest to the fact that it has been an abysmal failure. So I think MPEA itself has recognized that. What we are calling for is a total recall of the whole program. I mean, I think we were implementing CRM as if there was nothing on the ground. You have indigenous Ghanaians who have invested quite close to $500 million on the old system. So if you are trying to introduce a new system, there's the need for you to recognize that.
Let's find out what's been happening in the insurance industry, because brokers are optimistic that the newly appointed Commissioner of the National Insurance Commission, Dr. Abiba Zakaria, will introduce a premium streamlining regime to tackle undercutting in the industry. They believe stricter enforcement of pricing regulations will help create a fair and competitive market.
President of the Insurance Brokers Association of Ghana, IBAG, Shaibu Ali, says undercutting remains a major concern in the sector, calling for urgent regulatory intervention.
We are expectant of a streamlining of the premium regime, where we think that there's a lot of undercutting of insurance premiums on the market. That is one of the major issues that she needs to tackle, because insurance companies are in the business to make a profit too. If you look at the premiums that insurance companies charge vis-a-vis the claims that they pay, there's a mismatch.
The newly appointed NIC Commissioner is expected to outline her vision and policies at this year's IBAG Educational Conference and Exhibition, set to take place in Kwewu in the Eastern Region from 18th to 22nd of March.
It will be the maiden outing for the new commissioner where she will make policy statements for her to know the direction she is going. It will be her very first major assignment for the industry. As usual, it will be the opportunity to bring stakeholders together to think about the industry, think about what we need to do going forward, especially coming out of the DDEP.
Brokers say they are hopeful that under Dr. Zacharias' leadership, the industry will see reforms that promote fair pricing and sustainability.
The leadership of GCB Bank PLC has paid a courtesy call on the National Chief Imam Sheikh Osman Nuhu Shaributu at his residence. The visit was to formally introduce a newly appointed managing director and the other leadership of GCB Bank to the National Chief Imam.
GCB Bank has over the years maintained a strong and mutually beneficial relationship with the Office of National Chief Imam, built on trust, shared values and a commitment to community development. During the interaction, Managing Director of GCB Bank PLC, Farihan Al-Hassan, expressed gratitude to the Chief Imam.
We came to our grandfather to seek his blessings as we take up a new responsibility. And again, Ramadan is just 10 days away, to wish him a happy Ramadan.
He also stressed GCB's commitment to support initiatives that align with community growth, financial empowerment and development.
Our bank believes that there's just more to just the banking that we do. We need people like himself who normally pray for us. This is a bank, and obviously financial inclusion is so important, and we're the bank that has over 184 branches everywhere. We ensure everyone, no matter what your stature, your status in the community, you can have a bank account with GCB.
The National Chief Imam congratulated the MD, Farihan Al-Hassan, on his assumption of office as the MD of GCB Bank and urged him to lead the bank with integrity, fairness and strong values. The bank made a donation of food items to the Chief Imam's Secretariat in the light of the upcoming period of Ramadan.
Well, that's all for the very latest in the world of business. For more business news stories, do also visit our website. It's www.3news.com.
She's coming. She's coming.
Oh, it's in.
Right now, receive so.
Boss, let's go back.
Here, take this.
She's coming.
I know. Go to the pharmacy now.
She's coming. Oh. She's here.
Pay faster, pay safer, and pay easy with Momo app. Download now. D and so much more.
See, Massa, I have told you to use Kojak quality oral care products like the Kojak Charcoal toothpaste for strong teeth. Give me the meat.
Sis, that guy.
Ajay, my teeth.
Sis, haven't you heard of Kojak P&F toothpaste and their mouthwash? Right after here, get one for yourself. It helps fight sensitive teeth just like you're experiencing. Hey, sis.
Yes. Do not joke with your teeth because it may worry you in the future. Over the past 30 years that we introduced Procode onto the market that has no competitor. We have again introduced Kojak Oral Care onto the market with the same high quality standard like Kojak Charcoal toothpaste that makes your teeth whiter and stronger. Kojak regular fluoride toothpaste that makes your teeth stronger, fights against toothache, and lathers well, leaving your mouth with an improved fresh taste and breath. If you have a sensitive teeth when you take something cold or hot, yours is to go for Kojak P and Kojak F together with the mouthwash. Go for Kojak Oral Care products because Kojak dear, it be quality keke.
This advert is FDA approved.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360 with me, Oreku Ampofo. Nana Pole's tragic death remains a major talking point with increasing calls to tackle hooliganism in Ghana football. Parliament addressed the issue for the first time on Wednesday, with Member of Parliament unanimously urging relevant authorities to implement stricter protocols for stadium safety. My colleague Mutala Yakubu has more in the following report.
The fight against hooliganism took center stage in Parliament, with several MPs weighing in on the issue. The tragic murder of Nana Pole has sparked national outrage, with growing calls to eliminate the menace. Lawmakers share their perspective on how to address the problem. Akuapem North MP Sami Ewuku pointed to poor officiating as the major trigger of hooliganism.
If we cast our mind back to many of the issues around the world, anytime you have these huge disagreement among fans, at the heart of it has been a refereeing decision one way or the other. I would like us to also get the Referees Association of Ghana and the Football Administration to also pay keen attention to sometimes bad officiating or questionable officiating. I believe these acts of hooliganism are despicable, and it is about time that we don't just pay lip service to these matters when they are raised, but also get the law enforcement agencies to also enforce the laws.
Bolgatanga Central MP Isaac Adongo argued that if the GFA cannot implement strict protocols to ensure stadium safety, then football should not be played.
If the GFA cannot follow rigorous protocols for licensing our football stadia, we should not be playing football as a country. Because football is a serious business and it's about life. And whether you like it or not, some people are going to be dissatisfied and may take the law into their hands. Where the protocol may require you to bring over 40 policemen, you are right there and only 2 policemen are there guiding and protecting scores or spectators. The end result is that people die needlessly, and we mustn't die following the passion of football.
Sunyane West MP Millicent Amankwa, whose constituency includes Inswatre, emphasized the need for thorough risk assessment before every football match in Ghana.
I believe that we should have a risk assessment before any match takes place, because we need to make sure that the park or wherever they are having these football games are well kept. We have CCTV cameras in case of emergency. We have proper security personnel. Even in addition of these military personnel can be added to it.
The Ghana Premier League has been suspended for the past 2 weeks in a bid to reform security protocols.
Let's switch attentions to the Ghana Premier League, where Kumasi Asante Kotoko resumed training on Wednesday for the first time since the unfortunate demise of their passionate fan, Francis Yao-Frimpong. Now, despite the Porcupine Warriors resuming training, the team maintains its stance of not competing in all football-related activities until justice is served. My colleague Richard Echampon was at the training ground of Kotoko and put together this report.
This is the first time Kotoko is training after the game that they played on the 2nd of February this year, which resulted in the unfortunate loss of Nana Pole, the beloved fan of Asante Kotoko. The management suspended all footballing activities of the senior team. Most of the injured players are now fit and they all trained today. Today's training session was quite unusual. The supporters and the fans who are always here to watch their club train were not here. Today, you could count less than 10 people watching Asante Kotoko train. That is quite unusual. Their usual numbers are between 200 and 300. The management of Asante Kotoko insists that even though they are training, they are not yet ready to play football or competitive games. They are still looking for justice for the murdered Nana Pole, and also they want to see real action taken on the part of the GFA and the security agencies to ensure that such an act wouldn't repeat itself again. Reporting from Kumasi Adakujachi, my name is Richard Echampon.
Now, before we go, just by way of update ahead of the Champions League playoffs later tonight, but before that, actually, Dortmund faced Sporting in the first game. That's the early kickoff. They didn't have to do much, leading by 3-0 from the first leg. 0-0 result sees them through to the round of 16 at the expense of their Portuguese counterparts. The big one is Real Madrid versus Manchester City. Just one of them can make it to the round of 16 stage of the Champions League. No Erling Haaland in the starting lineup as he has been declared unfit by Pep Guardiola. Real Madrid lead by 3-2 on aggregate. And then there's the all-French affair between PSG and Brest. Remember that PSG lead by 3-0, and there's all left to play for in the Netherlands as PSV face Juventus. You can get updates of all of these games and more on our social media handles at 3SportsGH. My name is Ore Kwampofu, and up next on the bulletin is Entertainment with Adrianoela.
Entertainment News segment is brought to you by Napa Foods, Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil, powered by 3 Entertainment.
Good evening and welcome to the Entertainment News segment here on News 360. My name is Noella Donko. Now, the selection process for contestants in the 2025 edition of Talented Kidz has officially come to a close. After an intense search and thorough auditions, 16 incredible finalists are now ready to thrill the audience in the 16th edition. Now in its 16th season, Talented Kidz has become the most watched kids reality show, offering young talents a unique platform to shine. Children between the ages of 6 and 12 have the chance to showcase their skills, performing and being judged for the exciting season. After a comprehensive search, the top contestants from various audition centers came together for the grand auditions in Accra. In the end, 16 talented and versatile kids were selected to kick off the 2025 show.
So if you hear your name, kindly step forward. Beat Monsters. Congratulations, you've moved on to the next stage. Eugenia Ampoma Dakwa.
Catch the final selection process premiering this Sunday on TV3. The official announcement of the final 16 contestants will be revealed in the coming weeks. We now bring you some art and entertainment tidbits from the world of showbiz.
Jay-Z has revealed that he and his family were targeted with violent online threats following false accusations that he raped a 13-year-old at a 2000 VMAs after party. The case was dropped after the accuser's lawyer withdrew the lawsuits. Jay-Z claims the allegations were timed to coincide with the premiere of Mufasa, The Lion King, where his wife Beyoncé and daughter Blue Ivy starred, causing him emotional distress and costing him $20 million in lost business deals. He also accused the lawyer of attempting to extort him.
You're not Steve Rogers. You're right. I'm not.
Captain America: Brave New World topped the weekend box office with an estimated $88.5 million in domestic sales, projected to surpass $100 million by the end of the President's Day holiday. This would make it the 4th highest grossing President's Day weekend opener, surpassing 50 Shades of Grey's 2015 debut. While it didn't break records, it signals a revival of interest in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, with the 2025 box office up 22% from last year. This marks a strong start for Disney's superhero releases, including future films like Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four.
And that's it for the Entertainment News segment here on News 360. My name is Noella Donko.
Thank you so much, Noella. Coming up, international news.
U.S. President Donald Trump has launched a fresh attack on Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, calling him a dictator and saying he has done a terrible job. Earlier, Zelensky had accused the U.S. president of living in a disinformation space created by Russia following U.S. Moscow talks in Saudi Arabia, from which Kiev was excluded. Trump said Ukraine could have made a deal earlier. Russian President Vladimir Putin, later said nobody is excluding Ukraine from talks on ending the war. Less than a month into his presidency, Trump has appended U.S. policy on Ukraine and Russia, ending Washington's bid to isolate Russia over its invasion of Ukraine with a Trump-Putin phone call and talks between senior U.S. and Russian officials. A full-scale Russian invasion sparked the war in Ukraine 3 years ago, 8 years after it unilaterally annexed Crimea. Attacks by Sudan's Rapid Support Forces have killed more than 200 people over the past 3 days as the paramilitary group delayed signing a political charter that could pave the way for a breakaway government. The attacks occurred in villages across the town of Al-Gitiana, said emergency lawyers, a group that has monitored the impact of the conflict on civilians. After nearly 2 years of war between the RSF and Sudan's army, the RSF controls most of the west of Sudan and parts of the capital, Khartoum, but has been losing ground in central Sudan to the army. White Nile states, where activists said 3 days of RSF attacks had left more than 200 dead, has emerged as a key battleground as the army regains territory.
Well, that's all for News 360. Thanks very much for watching. For more news, you can log on to our website. It's www.3news.com. My name is Kwesi Asare.
And I am Portia. Gabor. Do join Alfred Okansi at 10 p.m. for Ghana tonight. Good evening.
The winner for Perfect Match Extra Season 2 is Martin and Tessie!
You thought you've seen it all, but guess what? The game of love is just getting started. More drama, more passion, more unexpected twists. Get ready for a love story like no other. PM Extra, love, betrayal, heartbreak, and triumph. PM Extra, coming soon on TV3.
This is Key Points, the